Okay, welcome to this video here on Chapter 10, Probability, and today we'll be working with Venn diagrams. To get started with Venn diagrams, let's look at a situation like this. Let's say you were hosting a large group of people for dinner and you gave the guests the choice of a salad, meat entree, or both. The understanding is that they had to select one of these items, okay? So they could select both if they want to, but they had to at least select one item. And the results come back to you and they say that 20 people wanted just a salad only, 35 people only wanted a meat entree, and 10 people wanted both. Now with math, we can use a Venn diagram to help make this data look better graphically. So we can show how these things relate. Now the spaces that you see in these circles right here is that this space over here is for people that only wanted salads. This space is for people that wanted salads and meat entrees. And this space over here represents the people that wanted meat entrees only. So if I took this information and filled it in, it makes it pretty easy to see. Now that you have the information filled in, you could start asking questions about the people. For instance, how many salads and how many entrees do you need to make? Well, when you consider these answers, you have to look at the entire circle of the salads. So in this case right here, this entire circle has a total of 30 people inside there. So you need to make sure you're considering making 30 salads, and this circle represents the total number of meat entrees, and then I want to make sure I'm making 45 meat entrees. So then that's pretty easy to see if you look at the entire circle when filling out that kind of information. Another question might be, how many people took the survey? Well, this box that you see around the entire Venn diagram then has all the numbers inside of it, and these numbers have to always add up to the total number of people that were surveyed. So if I take 20 plus 10 plus 35, that total is 65 people in all. So that means if I had 65 people, that means I need to make sure I'm making 30 salads and 45 meats. Sometimes you may not have this Venn diagram to look at, and let's say you only had this much to look at, that there were 30 salads people had to make that you would have to make, and 45 meat entrees, and 65 people surveyed. Well, when you're filling in the Venn diagram, the both part that you see right here, this both part can be figured out by taking the total number of entries you had, which was 75, and since it's more than the people that you had surveyed, that overflow or the amount above the total then has to become your both, so it's not so that it can not get counted twice. So when you see this kind of situation, like I just said, the total entries minus the total people will tell you the both amount that needs to go in the middle of your Venn diagram. Okay? You'll see some more practice with this in just a few moments. Now, let's move on. Let's say that you're looking at a situation here with some new data. In this problem here, let's say you now got data back and you're missing some information. This now represents the total number of salads that are being made. This represents the total number of people that selected meat entrees, and then there was also 5 people that wanted both. Now we have to be careful in this situation because this represents now the total circle, and this is the both part of the Venn diagram. So the question is, how many total salads do you need to make? And here's what we have to consider. When I first of all fill in this space right here, let's start with the both part first. So I put 5 in the middle here, which is supposed to be people that selected both salads and entrees, meat entrees. This 15 is the total of the circle. So if this total of the circle is supposed to be 15, then I need to make sure that I had 10 people that were exclusively asking for meat entrees only. So in this case, you got to be careful. Notice this about the survey, that when you have a total given to you for a circle and you have a both amount also given to you, we don't want to count this 5 twice. By putting a 15 here, that would be too many meat entrees. It says you're only supposed to have 15, so you have to always make sure you subtract off the both when filling in this number of the Venn diagram. All right, moving on. So if a question was asking you how many salads do you need to make, well then I first of all need to know if I had 30 people surveyed, these numbers across here have to add up to 30. Well, if I have 15 right here, to total off the 30, then this space right here has to be 15. So next, if I know those values, I can now answer my questions about how many salads you need to make. Don't just jump in and say, oh yeah, there's 15 right here. Remember, it's the entire circle. So when we say the answer is 20, it's because you included both the 15 and the 5. So notice this again, when counting the total of a circle, include the both amount as well. Some people get the 15 figured out and they're like, oh yeah, I'm done. But don't forget this entire circle makes up salads, so you have 20 total. All right, moving on. There's some other things you need to know about Venn diagrams. This big box that you see that goes around the Venn diagram circles, that's called the universe. That encapsulates all the data that was collected for the survey. Next, sometimes there may be people that don't select any of these choices, salads or entrees, and that number would have to get placed down here. Now, if I had 30, these numbers here these already add up to 30. That means I had nobody that selected neither, and that's the value of the people that were not a part of either circle. Okay, moving on. There are some notation notations associated with Venn diagrams as well. When you see this little symbol like here, this upside down horseshoe or this N-type shape, this little N symbol means salads intersected with meat entrees. Now we just got done doing that a minute ago. The word intersection is also the similar statement to saying both. When I take the circle of salad circle and intersect it with the meat and entree circle, that space that overlaps is the intersection. So that would be this little red space that you see here. Some other words or phrases that associate with this symbol that you see right here is and, both, or in common. So if I say, what's the area that is in the salads and the meat entrees? It's this little football shape that you see here. If I say, what's the area that's inside the salads and both the salads and the meat entrees? It's this. Or what does the salad circle have in common, right there, in common with the meat entree circle? It's this little football. So if you ever have the intersection of two circles, the result is going to be a football in some kind of position. Next, you'll also see this symbol here show up as well in our Venn diagram questions as well. This little U-shaped means the word union. Okay, if you think of the United States, when you union all the things together, it's the entire border of the entire shape that we're just talking about. When you merge these together, this little outside border becomes your union, your union of the shapes that you see here. So then this little snowman looking shape that's lying down is now the space that encapsulates or is unioned of the two circles. So all these numbers here then become part of the answer. Anything that's inside this little sideways snowman is going to be the solution to your problem. Other words that we associate with union are the word or. I could say what numbers are in the salads or the meat entrees? Well, it's these three numbers right here. If I unite the two circles, all these numbers are in the union of those two spaces. If I combine all the numbers together of the meat entrees and the salads as well, those become the total as well. Or I could just say, what are all the numbers all together that are inside the meat entrees and the salads? That's what we use with this symbol here, the U shape, or the U symbol that you see here. Stands for union. And the result is always a snowman. All right? Next, they can get more complex. If I have Venn diagrams that have 3 circles for this example, it's the same problem we just had. It still has 15 over here, 5 in the middle, and 10 over here. But let's say nobody selected the dessert. Nobody wanted just dessert, which is a good healthy choice. They are people that would have wanted salad only, but 9 people wanted a dessert. There are 3 people that wanted salads, meat entrees, and a dessert. There were 2 people that only wanted meat entrees and a dessert. And then there was nobody, like I said, that wanted just desserts only. So the survey could have had more questions on it, and then as you bring more questions on the survey, the more circles you add to the problem. Now, as I look at this kind of example here, you'll see some math questions that ask you like this, where I have salads intersected with meats, and then that answer unioned with the desserts. Now the intersection again means it's a football, and it's what does a salad have in common with the meats? Well, here's my salad circle, and here's my meat circle. That 2 and 3 then become your intersection. So what I see right here then is this little space you see right here. Now what I have to consider is what is this little space that you see here going to be when I union it with this dessert circle? If I union that with the dessert circle, I'm adding it all together with the numbers that are in this little circle as well. So they all become one space. So if I do that, everything that's in this little red area then, when I union that with the desserts circle, then all this space becomes the solution. And if I add up 9, 3, 2, and 2, that total then comes out to be 16 people. Now, let's try switching the problem around. Let's say I had salads union with meats. That means I have to figure out what is the union of salads and meats together. Now, again, a union means it's going to be looking like a snowman. So if I take all the salad stuff, combine it with the meat circle, those things together then create this little sideways snowman. Then that area is going to be asked to intersect with the dessert circle. My dessert circle then overlaps this 932 space right here to find my final part of the answer. So when we say salads unioned with meats intersected with desserts, that little space that's dark red that you see here is your answer. So if I add up 932, you get a total of 14 people. Now you've had a chance to see some of this information work together through symbols, through Venn diagram circles, union and intersection, and so on. Now try the work below and see if you can figure out the other practice problems, and good luck.